JavaScript is a very powerful client-side scripting language. JavaScript is used mainly for enhancing the interaction of user with the web page. In other words, you can make web page more lively and interactive with the help of JavaScript. JavaScript is also being used widely in game development and mobile phone development. So you can see the diagram there and see the client and the server section connected to the internet. So like when we talk about client side, what it means is that on the client machine where the script is run, you need to use a browser to open it. So let's look at the history of JavaScript. JavaScript was developed by Brandon H. in 1995, which appears in Netscape, a popular browser of that time. The language was initially called LiveScript and was later renamed JavaScript. JavaScript is only a scripting language. A scripting language is a programming language that employs a high-level construct to interpret and execute one command at a time. The syntax of JavaScript is mainly influenced by the programming language C. So how do we run the JavaScript? Being a scripting language, JavaScript cannot run on its own. In fact, the browser is responsible for running JavaScript. When the user requests an HTML page with JavaScript in it, the script is sent to the browser and it's up to the browser to execute it. The main advantage of JavaScript is that all modern web browsers support JavaScript. Also, JavaScript runs on any operating system including Windows, Linux, or Mac. So to start with, you need a text editor to write your code and a browser to display the web pages you develop. You can use a text editor of your choice, including Notepad++, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, Atoms, and any other one that you're comfortable with. So, for you to write a simple JavaScript program, you should place all your JavaScript code within the script tab. So you have the opening and the closing script. If you were keeping your JavaScript code within HTML document itself, this helps your browser distinguish your JavaScript code from the rest of the code. As there are other client-side scripting language, I highly recommend that you specify the scripting language you want to use. So you can use the type attribute within the script tab and set it value to text/JavaScript like this. So you have script type is equal to text/JavaScript and double quote. So let's look at a typical example of how to run a simple JavaScript program to print hello world. So here, looking at this, we have the HTML block. So within the header section, we have a script tab with the element text/JavaScript telling us that we want to run JavaScript. So now here we're employing another command which is alert hello world. So this is different from this other script which just prints out. So you use document write to print out the word hello world on a browser. So let's run this so that you see how it is. So I'll go to run and click on launch with Chrome. So you see the system brings out a box, and this box says hello world. So once you satisfy with it, you can now say OK. Then the second one, using the document write, will just print out the word hello world on the screen. So depending on what you want to do, you can employ any of those two. One is an alert, one is bringing out the output as an alert, while the other prints it out directly on the screen. So let's see the summary of what we want to do. JavaScript is a client-side scripting language developed by Brandon H. JavaScript can run on any operating system and almost all web browsers. So you need a text document to write JavaScript code and a browser to display your web page. So we use the document write method and the alert method. The document write method writes a string of text to the document stream opened by document, while the alert method displays an alert box with a message and an OK button. The alert method is used when you want information to come through to the user. Welcome friends. In this section, we're going to look at JavaScript array methods. What is really an array? An array is an object that can store a collection of items. Array becomes really useful when you need to store large amount of data of the same type. Suppose you want to store details of 500 employees. If you're using variables, you will have to create 500 variables. Whereas you can do the same with a single array. You can access the items in an array by referring to its index number, and the index of the first element of an array is 0. You can create an array in JavaScript as follows. So you define the variable name, then within the script bracket you list all the values. So here we're initializing your array as and when it's created with values John, N, and Kevin. The index of John, N, and Kevin is 0, 1, and 2 respectively. You want to add more elements to the student array, you can do it like this. So you type student, so within the script bracket you indicate the number, the index number, and then give it a value. So we have students 3 within the square bracket equal to Ima. Then student 4 within the square bracket is equal to rows. You can also create an array using an array constructor like this. Var student is equal to new array, then you specify all the value. Or var student is equal to new array, then you list all the values down. JavaScript array methods. The array object has many properties and methods, which help developers to handle arrays easily and efficiently. You can get the value of a property by specifying array name.property, and the output of a method by specifying array name.method. So let's look at some of the properties and the methods. 1. The length property. If you want to know the number of elements in an array, you can use the length property. The prototype property. If you want to add new properties and methods, you can use the prototype property. The reverse method. You can reverse the order of items in an array using a reverse method. Sort method. You can sort the items in an array using sort method. Pop method. You can remove the last item of an array using a pop method. Shift method. We can also remove the last item of an array using what's called the shift method. The last method is a push method, which enables us to act as the last item of the array. So here we have an array with the values as shown there, and here we also have we're telling you to display the word student array, and we want this to display all the items that we've listed under our array. But if you notice here, we use a for loop here. So the for loop will start from array number 0, which is John, and scan through the entire length and keep incrementing one at a time. And it will write the first one, and the next one will move to the next line because of this break statement. So now, if you have this kind of JavaScript program and you run it, what will happen is that it will list all these values in a vertical order, one at a time, because of this break statement that we use here. So if you come around here and run this, you see all of them will be listed here. But we can also tweak this program by removing this. So if we remove this, what do you think will happen? So let's see. So if I save this and run it, you see all of them appear. The break elements enable us to move or write all the items on one line, while the next item will be taken to the next line. So this simply displays all the student items, the items that we have based on the condition we've given one line at a time. So the second example follows the same way, but this time around we're going to sort. So what the sorting process does here is it will sort all the elements that we have here and arrange them in an alphabetical order. So if we run this, you can see all elements are arranged in alphabetical order. So the next one is the reverse method. So it reverses the position of the students. Reverses the position of the students from the back. The ones at the back will now move to the front in that order. So if you go to run and say launch with Chrome, it's reverse. So then the other one is the pop method. So the pop method basically removes the last item from the list. Last item was, if you look at this, last item is Elizabeth. So the last item will be removed. So if you click and run this, so Elizabeth is out. Then the push method adds an item. So here you add Peter to the list. So if you come around here and run this, so Peter. So I've listed, you can list all the properties, all the methods. The system will display everything as detailed according to their titles. So that's how you can use work with array, displaying the different array items in different formats. Different types of loops in JavaScript: the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. So what's a loop? Loops are useful when you have to execute the same lines of code repeatedly for a specific number of times, or for as long as a specific condition is true. Suppose you want to type hello message 100 times in your web page. Of course, you have to copy and paste the same line 100 times. Instead, if you use loops, you can complete this task in just 3 or 4 lines. So the flowchart seems to be what we have here. So you have the statement will go round. The statement goes round in a loop, but it gets to a point where the condition is checked. So when the statement comes in here, the condition is checked. If the condition is true, the looping process continues. But once it becomes false, then it moves to the next section of the program and eventually gets terminated. So there are different types of loops. Some of the major types of loops in JavaScript are the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. So let's take them after the other. The for loop. The syntax for the for loops is as follows: for, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Then within the braces, we have lines of codes to be executed. So statement 1 is executed first, even before executing the looping code. So this statement is normally used to assign values to variables that will be used inside the loop. Statement 2 is a condition to execute the loop. Statement 3 is executed every time after the looping code is executed. So let's see example C1 to understand clearly. So in example C1, we have an array with items here. So here we have, we're telling the program to print out this title using the loops. Then we have a for loop that is employed here. So this for loop will take the first value, 1 John, and it will pick up, create a loop and pick up each value, provided it's not more than the length specified here. Then this will be incremental, it will increment from one value to the other. So here we also have another document write statement which will print out the word student, and there's a breaking command there. So what this simply means is that all the items listed here as students will be displayed on each line based on the number of elements or item values that we have here. So when we print this, we expect to see all the names arranged in a vertical order. So let's run that so you can see all the names have the title and all the names arranged in a vertical order. That's how the for loop works. First value is returned, the second value checks the condition, and provided the next value is less than the length, it picks the next one, and it checks the condition. Provided this is met, then it now move to the next line until the total length of the values is or where the condition, until this condition becomes false, the total length of the condition is more than what is specified here. The total length of this is the total number of items that we have here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. So once this condition becomes false, then the looping process will stop. So let's continue. In C2, so we have the while condition. The while condition has the while condition. So we have the while condition starts, and within the braces we have the code to be executed. The while loop is executed as long as the specific condition is true. Inside the while loop, you should include the statement that will end the loop at some point. Otherwise, your loop will never end and your browser may crash. So let's see what happens in the while condition. So the while condition first, then you have the condition, the statement that you want to execute. But you must find a way to end it, so to avoid the browser crashing. So here we are looking at the Fibonacci series that less than 40. Now we are telling it to we have values that have been given to different variables. We're saying this value should be generated provided the value I is less than 40. And here we're telling it to write the first value. Then this gives us the condition for how the next values will be generated. For k is equal to I plus j, I is equal to j is equal to k. So once you've gotten this, you will now substitute the value of I for j, then substitute the value of j for k. In this way, the system will generate different values, but they will all be less than 40. So when you run this is exactly what you're going to find. The first value is 0, next one is 1, next is 1, then we have 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. Once it gets to 24, and the condition becomes false, then the next one is higher than 40, so the system, the condition stops, the while loop stops. Then we have the do while loop. The syntax is do. Then within the block, we have block of code to be executed. Then you now have while condition. So the do while loop is very similar to the while loop. The only difference is that in do while loop, the block of code gets executed once, even before checking the condition. So let's see how this is used. So here we have a variable that is declared as true. And here we're telling you that this should be even numbers less than 20. So the do while loop starts here. So document write 2, the first value 2, then we'll increment it by 2, and this goes on until the value I is less than 20. So when you run this, you see that you start having 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because we're looking at even numbers 18. So when it gets to the next one, it's supposed to be 20. 20 is not less than 20, so the condition becomes false and the process stops. In this section, we're going to look at Java conditional statements, if, else, if. So we learn how to use conditional statement, different types of conditional statement, if statement, if else statement, if else statement. So let's look at how to use conditional statements. Conditional statements are used to decide the flow of execution based on different conditions. If a condition is true, you can perform one action, and if the condition is false, you can perform another action. Different types of conditional statements are there in JavaScript. There are mainly 3 types of conditional statement in JavaScript: the if statement, the if else statement, if else statement. For if statement, the syntax is if the condition, then within the braces you have lines of code to be executed. If condition is true, we can use if statement if we want to check only a specific condition. So let's see what we have in example D1. In example D1 here, we are going to prompt the user to enter his age. So we have variable age, and we're telling the system to prompt for the age. So if the value of age entered is greater than or equal to 18, the system will print out you are an adult. If it's less than 18, it will print out you are not an adult. So I will just run this, and system prompts, I will type it's 7, system returns by saying you are an adult. So let's look at if-else statement. So for the if-else statement, the syntax is if the condition, the lines of code to be executed if the condition is true follows else, lines of code to be executed if the condition is false. So you can use if-else statement if you want to check two conditions and execute a different set of codes. So let's see what we have in example D2. In example D2, we're going to tell the system we're going to check the system time. So we have the hours on the system. So we use the system time to work on this. We pick up the hours, so we get the current hours. So if this hours is less than 12, the system will print good morning. If it's not less than 12, the system will print good afternoon. So let's run this and see. So here we don't even need to type anything. The system checks and discovers the time is 8 a.m. and it prints good morning. So the last one is if-else statement. The syntax is if the condition, then we move to this next block, which is lines of code to be executed if the condition is true. Else if condition true, lines of code to be executed if condition 2 is true. Then the final else, lines of code to be executed if condition 1 is false and condition 2 is false. So you can use if-else statement if you want to check more than two conditions. So let's see what happens is we're checking two different conditions in D3. So we're going to prompt the user to type his first name, the first number, and the second number. And here we're going to ensure that what he enters are integers. So if the first number is equal to 1, the system will print 1 is equal to 2. If 1 is equal to 2, we're going to print 1 is equal to 2. Else if 1 is less than 2, the first number we type is less than the 1 and the second one. We say, okay, 1 is less than 2. Else if 1 is greater than 2, then 1 will be greater than 2. So that's what we use if else. If these two conditions fail, they are true. But if not, it will move down here and prompt this. So let's do that. So enter the first number, I type 89. Second number, I type 56. So the system is telling us that the state condition is prompted